Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to jump into two totally different, absolutely fascinating worlds of myth. We're talking one forged in ice, the other born from the rich, vibrant earth. And we're going to figure out how our gods are really made. I mean, it's one of the biggest questions we've ever asked, right? Do we just invent them? Do they find us? Or what if the answer is something a lot more tangible, something that's actually rooted in the ground right under our feet? That's the big idea we're digging into today, that the divine is a direct response to the world all around us. Okay, so to help us unpack this, let's use a little framework I call the divinity equation. Think of it like this. You start with a natural environment and the culture that grows out of it. Then you multiply that by a people's unique history. And what do you get? A totally distinct divine personality, one that's perfectly tailored to the world of its creators. So, for our first case study, we're heading north, way north, to the brutal, unforgiving landscapes of ancient Scandinavia to meet gods that were literally forged in ice. I want you to just imagine this for a second. A world of these long, dark, brutal winters in seas that just want to swallow you whole. This is not an environment that offers comfort. It's a world of constant, grinding struggle. And that forces a huge shift in what you expect from your gods. In a world this tough, gods aren't there to promise you safety. Nope. Instead, they demand you show bravery in the face of the hardship you know is coming. And this brutal environment creates gods to match. You've got Odin, the Allfather, who seeks wisdom, but at a huge, often ruthless cost. Then there's Thor. He's not just a hero with a hammer, he is the violent, terrifying fury of a northern storm. And Freya, a goddess of love who also claims half the warriors slain in battle. It's a constant reminder that in the north, life and death are always holding hands. Now, here's what's so wild about all this. The endgame for the Norse isn't some happy ending. It's Ragnarok. And this is not a story of good finally triumphing over evil. It's a prophecy that says destruction is inevitable. Even the gods know they're going to die. They know they're going to lose the final battle. So what's the highest value in a world like that? It's not victory. It's how bravely you face a defeat that you know is already guaranteed. Okay, now let's do a complete 180. We're leaving the ice behind and traveling to the rich, vibrant ecosystems of West Africa to meet a completely different kind of divine being. So, in the Yoruba tradition, the whole structure of the divine is different. You have a supreme creator, Oludumare, who's kind of remote, but the divine power, the real action, flows downward through these active intermediaries, the orishas. And these aren't distant gods sitting on a throne somewhere. They are accessible, living forces that are direct embodiments of the powerful natural world. And this is where you can really see how the environment writes the rules. Shango isn't just the god of thunder, he is that sudden, violent crack of a tropical storm. Yamoja is the vast, life-giving, and sometimes overwhelming ocean itself. And Ogun, he represents our power to harness nature through iron for building things up and for tearing them down. But what happens when that vital link between a people, their land, and their gods is violently shattered? Well, this is where history storms into our equation with devastating force. The transatlantic slave trade created a fracture that's almost impossible to imagine. Millions of Africans were torn from their homes, and under colonial rule, practicing their religions openly was forbidden, often brutally. This wasn't just a cultural crisis. For the Orishas, who are so deeply tied to their community and their land, this was an existential threat. But then, something incredible happened. An act of pure theological genius. Enslaved Africans started to hide their orishas right inside the religion of their oppressors. Shango, the fiery god of lightning, was hidden in plain sight as Saint Barbara. Yamoja, mother of the ocean, was worshipped as Our Lady of Regla. It's absolutely brilliant. The gods survived by wearing a mask. This incredible process of survival has a name: syncretism. And it's so important to understand this isn't just a simple blending of ideas. No, this is a profound act of cultural resistance. It was a strategy of concealment that allowed these powerful traditions to survive against all odds. It's because of syncretism that amazing diaspora religions like Candomblé in Brazil and Santeria in Cuba are still thriving today. Okay, so let's pull all these threads together now and see what bigger rules about the divine these two very different worlds can show us. This chart really lays it all out for us, right? You look at personality. On one side, you've got these fatalistic warrior Norse gods. On the other, the flexible, community-focused Orishas. Their power is both tied to nature, sure, but the Norse world is very specific to its cold, harsh place, while the Orishas represent these huge, universal elements like oceans and storms. And their cultural roles? Totally different. The Norse gods are models for how to die bravely, while the Orishas became tools for cultural survival itself. And this amazing story of survival brings up a really fascinating paradox. On one hand, syncretism was a massive victory. The core beliefs, the music, the deities themselves, they survived against impossible odds. But on the other hand, couldn't you also argue it was a kind of tragic loss? Forcing these powerful deities into foreign shapes, watering down their original context. There's really no easy answer here, is there? So, what this whole journey shows us is pretty profound. The environment doesn't just give us the backdrop for our myths, it writes the fundamental rules for our gods. Gods may be born from the landscape, that's true, but they survive through the sheer, unbreakable resilience of the people who carry their stories. And it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What kinds of gods is our world creating right now? And what's it going to take for them to survive?